Yes, I'm very happy to be here. Nice to see you all. So I will talk a little bit about how we tackle the future at the Transport Administration. But I will also say a little bit about the Transport Administration itself, since it was a bit of an invention about 7 years ago. This, I can start to be a little bit philosophic, perhaps. So what can we know about the future? That has been the theme. Well, I think we cannot know so much. That's my own experience, and I think I speak for Trafikverket as well, perhaps. The curse of the present, where in many cases we are, as we've heard today, we are a bit stuck at the present, and it's easy to say, but not so easy to do, to think outside the box. We have these path dependencies that we hear a lot about also, that we think we see tendencies, and then we extrapolate them, and we think the trend will go on. But suddenly something completely different happens. And some of you may know this better than me, but I have learned that there's this expression of black swans, and that is supposed to mean that something completely unexpected happens. It could be in technology, but it could also be something completely different. And from what I've heard, it was already used as an expression in the 17th century. They spoke about the black swans. And that was to say that something that was not measurable and not predictable suddenly happened, but had a huge impact. And from what I've heard also, September 11 should be one of these examples. One is the First World War, then the internet and the PC, the personal computer. Those are 4 examples of the black swans. So will we have some black swans? I don't know. That's the whole idea about the black swans. But it was interesting to know that in 1697, the Europeans came to Australia and found out that there were actually black swans in Australia. So the whole idea was based on thinking that there is no such thing as a black swan. But in reality, there was all the time. So I think it was a little bit interesting. But I can say for sure from Trafikverket point of view that we know that we don't know. That's the theme of this conference, isn't it? But we don't know what we don't know. So we are trying to be humble, but we are trying to tackle that we don't know somehow. And that is what I would like to try to explain a little bit to you. But I will start by explaining a little bit shortly about the Transport Administration itself. But first, I could say something of the transport policy goals. You can see them there. The government, they decided upon those transport goals very long time ago. I don't remember now, it was 15 or even 20 years ago, but we have the functional goal of accessibility, and we have the consideration goals of safety, environment, and health. So that is something that is guiding us at the Transport Administration. And I think they are still valid, but we may need more. And you will see a little bit of that we have added some things later on. But what are the tasks of a Transport Administration then? There you have them though. We were formed in 2010 as the second administration in Europe that deals with all 4 modes of transport. Actually, the Finns in Finland, they beat us by 4 months. They did it before us, but then we did it. So we have the long-term planning of the traffic, the responsibility for the long-term planning of the complete traffic system. That is road, rail, shipping, and aviation. So that is the planning. But then we have an even stronger responsibility for road and rail, because there we also have the responsibility for construction, operation, and maintenance. Someone asked me if I thought it was a good idea to form this integrated agency. Yes, I think it was a good idea. But of course, everything is not perfect, and there are some setbacks and drawbacks, but we have gained a lot also, I would say. And actually, we have quite a few countries now in Europe who are following in our footsteps. Ireland, Portugal, Slovenia, most recently Italy will do something similar. That they don't do it exactly the same way, but in a similar way. So we will see what if the trend. It's a slow trend, but if it goes on or not. But we also have the responsibility to work with research and innovation, motivated by our tasks. That is something we should also do at the Trafikverket. The government tells us. And we'd like to stress that, because sometimes we are looked upon as if we were a research provider or a research financer in general for transportation area, and we are not that. But we have tasks, and we would like to solve our tasks in a better way. And if we can do that by research, we should do it. So that restricts a little bit. We don't have the total scope of the transportation system. So that means also that we focus mostly on the infrastructure. But because all these, if I speak for road and rail now, quickly I could say that both those systems, they are systems. So of course we cannot, even though we deal with the infrastructure, we cannot ignore the vehicles. We have to acknowledge them and work a little bit on that. And that's one more perhaps observation I could have. For 7 years ago, we did not speak so much about the automatic cars as we do today. But within our company, we now realize that the road system is becoming a little bit more similar to the rail system, which is an integrated system with traffic control and things like this. So now we've heard today, and we often hear now about that there will be a need for a traffic control for the future automatic roads. So we can deal with that within our companies. It's quite good. So this is the proposed national plan. It was presented a few months ago. It's a 12-year plan, and in the proposed, as I have to stress, it is only proposed yet. The political decision will be taken perhaps in April or March next year by the government. But in that budget, we have investments, you can see there. We have for operation and maintenance of roads. So the big part here in our budget goes to rail and road. Certainly, but as I said, we also have the long-term planning for aviation and shipping. But at the bottom, you can see that we have a proposed budget for research and innovation that is 8 billion Swedish crowns in total, and that would mean 667 million per year. And that, if that is decided, it will mean 521 million per year in 12 years. So it's quite a lot of money, of course. But how do we use this money? We have quite a big organization, and the big organizations, they're always a bit clumsy and hard to steer, aren't they? We have about 7,000 people employed. But how do we find the needs for the research? Well, first we have to prioritize some areas, of course. And here you can see that we have found most of the buzzwords we've heard here today. We also have them. So we made that. We have the transformation word, to climate adapted. We have a robust and safe infrastructure for the digitalized society. And we also have the efficient linked transport system for citizens and business community. The last one, an equal and inclusive transport system, I think is a little bit in relation to the UN social sustainability goal, I think. So we have that also. So that is how we will prioritize the research for these 12 years. What areas? Here we have how we would like to use this money. We would like to have targeted initiatives for knowledge development in prioritized areas. We'd like to have a lot of common agendas with other partners and with programs and for system innovations. We'd like to have special efforts on testing and demonstration. We feel that there could be more done there. And we would like to have a greater focus on the pre-commercial procurement. We think there is a need for this, so this is also what we prioritize. Here we have the organization of Trafikverket, and this is, I don't expect you to be able to read this, and I will not go through it. But the thing is that the idea about this whole picture is that the organization of Trafikverket is slightly done in a process way, because we have here we have the time scale, we have the planning, and then we have maintenance, and then we have investments, and then we have the huge projects. So it's a little bit of different process steps we have in our organizations. And in these business areas, and the specialists we have at Trafikverket, they are spread out. They are in all these boxes. And how can we then, and we think that there's a need, of course, there's a need for the research here, and we need research here, and we need research here. And how do we get a holistic approach on this? And well, we could do this. This is another picture. I don't want you to read in detail, but you have seen similar pictures before, I believe. That's the processes that we have at Trafikverket. They are also quite similar, very basic if you look in the details. Maintenance is one thing, operation is one thing, investments is one thing, and so on. Planning is one thing. So what do we do with the research? Well, we do that also in a similar way. We organize our R&D money in actually portfolios, which are named more or less in the same way. So we have planning is one portfolio, maintaining, enabling, building. And then we have two special portfolios for shipping and aviation. And then we have members from the whole organizations in these portfolios, and they evaluate proposals for research projects, and finally it's decided if it's a go or not. The green boxes, they deal with mostly things that are achievable maybe within the time span of 5 or 10 years. It's a more or less improvement on the existing system that we have. But we also have two more futuristic or visionary portfolios named strategic initiatives and demonstrators, where we try to find the black swans, if we can. What is important for us is also these TRL levels. I'm sure you know more about this probably than I do, but the technical readiness levels, we speak very often about them. We have the number 1 to up to 9 here, and here is a quite strict borderline when a new product gets on the market. But like I said, we want to focus more in the early stages and procurement of pre-commercial procurement. This is where we want to focus a little bit more. That's our strategy. And one example of what we would like to do in the upcoming years is to initiate a couple of initiatives. And the first one we have started with right now, even before this new proposal is decided upon, that's a vision for a climate-neutral freight sector. And we plan to launch more initiatives like this one, but this one has just started. And here we have the examples of areas to be focused within these initiatives. And here, once again, you see all these words you've already heard during the day. There are so many different aspects, not pure technology only, but so many different things. I will not go through all the details, but we must have a clear focus on the systems perspective. And so we want to achieve a combination of research and innovation. We want to have a long-term commitment. We will emphasize this triple helix, as you know. It's always when we travel abroad, we say that we are good at this, the triple helix, the combination of industry, government, and academia. We want to focus on this here. And we all want to have excellent research. And we should, these programs should be up to 10 years long. So we hope to have a good continuation so that we can evaluate it longer. So that was one example of the initiatives we're planning for the future. So I think that was all. I think I made it more or less in 50 minutes. Thank you.